Hello, this is Heidi Rocky from Rocky's Rad Resources. Today I'm going to talk to you about something near and dear to my heart, internet safety. As a technology teacher, it always made my blood freeze to listen to kids talk about how they use the internet. I've talked to kids as young as 6 with Facebook accounts, a 4th grader who got all excited to tell me about his MySpace account. He had not experienced anything on internet safety and was just thrilled that he knew all of this stuff to do on the internet without realizing that some of the stuff that he was doing was so completely unsafe. So this is a lesson that I'm going to show you. It's a lesson that I used with my students every year when I taught in the computer lab. I was teaching kindergarten through 5th grade, which is an age range. So although I wanted to teach everyone about internet safety, I didn't necessarily want to talk about the same topics at each grade level. However, there were some important pieces that I hit on with each grade level. For example, this is a slide that talks about simply what the internet is. Um, you have to remember that kids today have only ever had a computer with the internet. The idea of a standalone computer as just a device that does not have a web access to websites is just unthinkable. So we always talked about what the internet was and that it isn't just necessarily there when you have your computer. We also talked about the internet's capabilities with this slide, talking about the fact that people created the internet and that people created websites. Because kids don't always understand that concept. They really think that the internet is just this entity that exists. So once we were clear on what the internet was, we would actually use the internet to learn about internet safety altogether. The internet itself has some really great websites out there to help your kids learn how to stay safe on the internet. Um, it's been a very hot button issue. It's been all in the news and different things. So there's been a lot that's starting to get created about how to stay safe on the internet. Because again, I was working with an age range, I had different things that I used for different grades. One of the things I used with the younger kids, K through 2, is faux pas. Faux pas is just a little cartoon clip. He's a character that's related to McGruff the crime dog, and it's very clear and great for your younger kids. I also used Cyber Pigs for the older kids. There's 2 different episodes. It's based out of Canada, but it's fabulous and a little interactive, which helps for some of the older kids that get bored just watching a movie. Both sites address the fact that you don't always know who's on the other end of the computer, and that's a fact that kids don't always understand. And it's super important for them to understand and for us to stress that, because there's too many instances where kids are giving out all kinds of information to predators and people on the other side of the computer, thinking that it's, a friend or somebody that they would want to impress. Cyberpics also gets into cyberbullying and spam, which are both important, especially for your older kids as they're getting closer to middle school. But kids are really having access to email and texting at younger and younger ages. My 6-year-old has an email account. Granted, that's a safe one that I can monitor, but that's not always the case for all of our students. So we really need to give kids the knowledge to know how to use all these great technologies that we're giving them access to. Finally, once we had watched these videos and talked about these videos, we talked about the rules. And these were our rules that we used to stay safe on the internet. I always went over this in class and then I printed them out. Rule 1 was, of course, never to give out personal information or pictures to people you've not met in person. We had lots of kids that want to send pictures, and that we all know that can get us into big issues. Rule number 2 was not to take emails or files from people they've not met in person, which is a general overall for everybody, but it's something that especially kids will just click, ooh, this looks cool and it's shiny and shimmery, and they click on it, and next thing they know there's a virus on your computer. Rule number 3, of course, the most important one, never meeting up with somebody you only know on the internet, something that we're having so many issues with today, so we really want to make sure that that rule is stressed. But rule number 4 is always, of course, to question what you read, and we always talked about not believing everything on the internet. After I did this lesson, I would do blog posts with the kids, and I would do some web design where they could create something that was out on the internet and start to understand that if I can put something on the internet, anyone else can put something on the internet, and so it's not necessarily 100% reliable. Um, Rule number 5 was username and password and not giving it to anyone. I always did stress that it was perfectly okay to give it to your mom and your dad and that they probably should have it, but we talked about not giving it out to our friends and we talked about why. Rule number 6, of course, not to share things we didn't want others to see. Kids have this idea, and some adults too, that the internet is private, and it's not. Everything that's out there, lives forever. So we always talked about how if we, put it out there, we needed to make sure that we were okay with others seeing it. And then rule number 7, of course, is about cyberbullying. That's such a hot topic issue right now. We want to make sure that they're not being mean, but we also want to make sure that if somebody is being mean to them, that they go and tell an adult and are not scared to let people know what's going on the internet. It should be just the same as if somebody is talking to them in the real world. There's somebody in their class is bullying them. We want them to go to the teacher. We want the same thing happening on the internet, and it's so easy for kids to get isolated on the internet these days. So hopefully some of these rules will help you talk to your students about how to stay safe on the internet. If you want more information, you can find the entire PowerPoint at my store on Teachers Pay Teachers, Rocky's Rad Resources on Teachers Pay Teachers. And I would hope that you take this information, use it with your students, and make sure that you're talking to them always about staying safe on the internet because it is so very important in our society today.